Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful event all. And I would like to, first of all, thank Endeavor and Mariana and Camila for that invitation. Endeavor is really a wonderful partner of ours, and it's a big pleasure to be here today and to speak to you a bit about Insider, what we have done so far, and our expansion in Latin America. So you gave me some points to talk about. I would suggest as an agenda, let me speak a bit like broadly about Insider, the company itself, then explain a little bit what we do, and then because challenges and do's and don'ts are different for different industries. So to put that a bit into context, and then I have put together a couple of points like key challenges for us, things that I think that we have done very well that I would recommend others to do as well. And then also, of course, some things that we could have done better, or that I at least would do differently from today's perspective. And I will also evaluate a bit about those. All right. So about Insider very briefly. So Insider is a company from Turkey. We have 6 co-founders, and the company exists for around 9 years, almost 10. And since then has expanded into 27 different countries globally. And yeah, the last one was the US. The next one will be Mexico, I think. And yeah, like we have started the operations in Brazil around 2 years ago. So around 2 years ago, we have started the setup due to the pandemic that of course I will speak a little bit about. It took us a while, and today we have people in Argentina, in Colombia, we have an entity in Chile, and in Mexico. And yeah, this also like that I will speak more about when it comes to the challenges. Maybe a bit about the structure. We have like Insider has, during the pandemic, we have actually closed our Series C. Lead investor in the Series B was Sequoia Capital, which of course is fantastic seller when it comes to innovation and technology and quality of technology. Same investors as Google, WhatsApp, Dropbox, Airbnb, etc. But then also very supportive on product, etc. And in the Series C, Riverwood Capital was the lead investor, and yeah, one of the reasons really was our focus on Latin America and the Americas. And Riverwood has one office in the US and one in São Paulo. So definitely the right partner for us, and it just underpins our focus and priority to be successful in LATAM. Insider itself, maybe a bit on the product. What we do, we are a marketing optimization, personalization platform. It's called a growth management platform. The reason is really we are working on one single platform. That is, if you look at some legacy players when it comes to marketing technology, they have acquired different companies to do basically what we are doing. Often that leads to a very complex integration. Very costly, takes very long, and you need even different partners to make it happen. Insider has the growth management platform as its core, so it's one single platform, and within that platform you can think of 3 layers of technology. The first layer is our custom data layer, there we capture all the data about users. That can be on an app through an SDK, that can be on the web through a JavaScript, or from a data lake or CDP through an API, right? So as an example, if you would go on Falabella's website, the moment that a user arrives on that website, Insider would know where the user is coming from what location, what's the weather in that location. The moment the person starts to browse on the website, we know what other products the user is looking at, what other categories that the user is browsing. And so all that user data, filters they are using, colors that they are choosing, all that data goes into one unified custom profile. It's also quite important. We're working with one unified custom profile. No data silos. That means when it comes to, for example, having the system with AI or machine learning, choosing what should be the next best channel to reach the user, what's the best time, etc. Then this is quite important to have all the data in one unified custom profile. Second layer in our platform is our intention recommendation layer. That means on the back of that data that we have from the user, like structured and organized and everything, we apply machine learning, artificial intelligence, in order to run some predictions. So for example, probability of conversion, probability of churn on the app, probability of uninstall. What are affinities? Affinities with product, affinities with categories, affinities with colors. And even, you know, for like exemplifying it a bit, if a user is always looking for the cheapest price, like filtering, sorting functions, that user is price sensitive, right? So we would understand, okay, that user has probably a high discount affinity, that the system would understand, and this then you can use, for example, for promotions. So the second layer is all about, you know, understanding and predicting customer behavior, intention, understanding lifetime value, life cycle, etc. And then once we know who the customer is and what they are up to, we have our third layer, which is our action layer, where you have the activation, where you basically you do personalization in your app for the user, in your web, personalizing the whole website or using some templates to capture leads, improve conversion rates. We have our recommendation engine where you can do specific product recommendations and not just looking at you know, simple correlations between products, but also considering the first two layers about the user. And then you have the messaging channels. And here comes into place something that has been a big advantage for us in Latin America, because basically Turkey is between East and West, right? And the founders at the time, they decided to expand first to the East, simply because, you know, the West is the graveyard for many startups. They go there because tickets are bigger, it's, you know, seems a bit more sexy, but then they understand that also errors and mistakes are more costly. And yeah, this is something they wanted to avoid, so they expanded into East. And when it comes to internet connection, for example, in Vietnam, they were asked to optimize our technology on app and mobile app for 2G internet connection. Something that if you go to the countryside in Brazil, for example, or most Latin American countries, when you go outside the big cities, it's a big advantage if your technology is optimized on that. Or also, you know, Chinese OEMs, often they have a limited RAM and then they stop, they block some notifications. So we have developed a technology that pulls back the notification and sends them individually. So we have a 40 to 60% higher delivery rate than our competitors, for example. Or also when you think about everything that goes around app, when you think about channels, and this is what I wanted to say, our messaging includes, for example, WhatsApp very strong. Why? Because, you know, we are a company that had to learn in many different places what are the best channels, and that helps us quite a lot when it comes to Latin America. So WhatsApp, for example, is one of our most successful channels at the moment, but also email, SMS, Facebook Messenger, and everything segmented, push notification, web push, app push, and then like Ideally, in the end, you want to orchestrate all of that in a journey builder and create journeys, frictionless journeys, combining on-site, in-app, and the messaging. And this is what Insider does. We started to do that in Latin America, as I said, 2 years ago. So beginning of 2020. And of course, for me, the biggest challenge was COVID, the pandemic. At the beginning, no one wanted to speak to new vendors. They wanted to figure out what was happening and what it means to their business. Also, some public institutions in Brazil decided to close the doors during pandemic, which was not very helpful for me in order to get the operations up. And then expanding across Latin America, I believe the only way to really scale the business is having local entities and being able to local invoice and service in local language, etc. And that is not easy, like to figure out how to and where to open entities, and should it be a branch, should it be an entity, should it be a partnership. That is one challenge that I have since the beginning, and it still persists. We are speaking to some apparently very competent and very promising partnerships, and are also, like Chile, we have a local entity. Mexico, we are setting up the local entity. In Brazil, we have it. We are offering a local language service to all the countries. It's Spanish and Portuguese and correct time zone. That is, I mean, although, for example, although you fix the currency, which of course we can do, but in Argentina, for example, even with that, you will at some point you will reach some barriers that are more like dollar reserve based, and so that is a challenge. Then huge challenge for us also since the beginning, and continues to be, is talent. Of course, Latin America has tons of wonderful and very smart and talented people, but if you look at certain industries, and I'm not even referring to engineering or development, I'm referring just like, for example, let's say commercial or service oriented people. Our industry is very specific, and I'm sure, like from all of you, you have industry specific particularities. And for us, for example, a service person should understand the basics of digital marketing. You know, how traffic, quality of traffic impacts CTR, how that reflects on conversion rate, how incrementality is calculated on ABN tests, and you know, that is not so easy to find. Same for the commercial side. We are a SaaS business, so marketing, technology, and SaaS. Finding the right people, it has been tough. Again, there are wonderful people out there, and the team that we have, I can say I have the most amazing team I've ever worked with, and I will touch on that more in a couple of minutes. But it has been challenging, and I think to find those people, of course there is a whole training and development part, and we're investing into that. We have a fantastic onboarding program, but it's still it's challenging. And then understanding the markets. I can, for example, I'm originally from Germany. If you would ask 100 people in Germany about what language is spoken in Brazil, probably 30, 40 would say Spanish, just because, you know, it's Latin America. Latin America, everything is close by. Latin America, everything is Spanish. It's actually not. And when I discuss this with people from outside, I often refer to Mexico, which is part of Latin America. But when in Mexico is winter, in Brazil it's summer. In Mexico, people speak Spanish. In Brazil, people speak Portuguese. It's, you know, it's different cultures, different language, different you know, weather, seasons, and it's actually it's 10 hours flight between the countries. So it's Europe in some, you know, is actually as far as Brazil. So it's really it's really important to understand the different markets, understand the particularities, and it's we take that very seriously. And I think there is the first thing that when I come to the points that I think we have done very well and that I would repeat in the same way, maybe even more, that I recommend all of you. Endeavor is such a wonderful organization with so exceptional people, no matter which country, and they can help you so much with your business and your expansion. And we are using or collaborating. We are also contributing as much as we can, but we're really trying to use Endeavor and other that for Endeavor that holds true, but also for other similar institutions. You know, like mentoring sessions. They are so valuable. Like to understand what are universities, universities for engineering, university for commercial people, what should be universities that we should look out in the CV, what are companies that usually build good talent, you know, such things, where to look for referrals. That is so helpful to understand the market. And also something that I can recommend, what we are doing is we try to understand really when we go into the market, what are very successful players that are looking for innovation and that others tend to look at. And we're doing that very successfully. So we don't rush into the market, but we really also, as you know, you have in the beginning, you have very limited resources, right? So don't rush it, but pick really what are the right first partners, and then don't care too much about the revenues, but really deliver and over deliver. Show them what you have, show them what a great product and service and how innovative your service or product is, and then delight them. And eventually others will look at them and will say, why are they so successful? What are they doing right? And then they will look at the tech stack or whatever it is for you, and they will see your name there and they will say, okay, let me check them out. And also people start talking about it. I mean, every industry is still a very niche industry. I can say that for our industry, obviously, people talk to each other, people know each other. And so if you deliver, and if you deliver well, eventually that will come back to you in great results. So this is also something that we have been running a lot with Endeavor, that we try to understand, you know, what are vertical trends, what are industry trends, what are rising stars that others could look at. And we have done everything to really engage with them and prove our services. And we have, like, we are leader in G2, Forrester, Gartner when it comes to app mobile marketing, when it comes to cross-channel campaign management. Yes, but also we prove that you know, we work as hard as we can and as much as we can to really prove those players that we deliver. And this, again, this comes back. Also in such conversations, my recommendation would be super humble. Even if you know something already, ask even more questions about it to understand it better. Because in those mentoring sessions, those people, yes, they are not from your industry, they're not from your vertical, they might not understand fully your product, but what they can give you an experience and market insight and vertical insight, and this is so rich. It's just for us, it's a pleasure to speak to those people, because usually they are very inspiring. It's a pleasure to get introduced to such amazing, I mean, they're helping us, right? So this is just great. And then you know, getting the insights, getting a feedback on your product. And we had through Endeavor, again, in all countries, being it, you know, Argentina, being it Chile, being it Brazil, Mexico, we had amazing conversations. And this is just a huge pleasure. And also for those conversations, and in general, like when expanding, never assume, always, you know, what you plan, your plannings, or maybe initial assumptions, but don't go into the market assuming, like double check them, triple check them, use those conversations as well to validate what you have planned. Those people, they have done it. I mean, they have been there, and they can give you a lot of insight there. Understand the right profile of who you want to hire is something that we have done that, of course, at the beginning, but we haven't done it. So we had our perfect candidate profile for each and every position. We had a wonderful job description. We have done everything that you are supposed to do. But when I say we haven't done it, means there were a lot of things that we just weren't aware, that we learned over time, because the client candidate profile is not the same in every country. One very easy example: in Latin America, networking is very important. Networking, relationships, especially in Mexico, for example, this is super important. In Brazil, it's important, but not as much as in Mexico. In Germany, it doesn't really matter. I mean, yes, at some seniority level, maybe some good connections into politics, etc., are also good. But it's like from a business perspective, like Mexico is here, Brazil is here for us, and like Germany is here and below. Like, you know, the profile of the candidate changes from country to country, and also like how you act in the country, and all of this. Those details, when you get them right, when you dedicate enough time to really create a strong and wonderful profile of your perfect candidate for each and every position, if you have done that, you will ask better questions in the interview. You will ask more relevant questions for what comes next. And this, for us, I think in the beginning we haven't done it as good as we should have. I think today we are doing it very well. And why do I think that? Because also I think what is important when it comes to hiring and talent, and especially in markets that are a bit tricky in talent, is that you monitor your success and your progress that you're doing in hiring. Because hiring is for us so important. When we start a business, it's even more important that we track the progress. And how do we do that? We look at candidates, how they perform when they enter. And we look at things, for example, like conversion rate of a new person. We look at, you know, how long do they take between the different meetings, how many meetings they qualify, etc. And I can say that there has been big progress for us, and this makes me very happy. And I recommend it to each and everyone. Like dedicate a hell lot of time into getting the right profile, and then constantly monitor if you are making better hires, or if you're improving your hiring progress. Because I mean, those metrics as retention and churn, yes, they are important, but there always will be a churn. There always will be a healthy churn, depending on the verticals. And when you are just starting your business, how will you define what is healthy churn for you? And how will you define how good you are doing? I mean, if you have 10 people and 2 people are leaving, that's 20%. So, you know, that's so I think this, when it comes to hiring, is really important, and something that we are doing well, but we could have done better at the very beginning. I think also, you know, I always say when it comes to culture, a wonderful culture in your team will drive growth and will produce growth. It will be like diversity, a well-structured team, good people together, this eventually will be successful and bring you growth. On the other hand, strong growth will not eventually lead into a great culture. And if you manage to hire very strong people, they will pull the others, and they will make sure that together they are a winning team. If you have people that are strong but are toxic for the culture, in the end you will stay with those people probably if you're not dedicating enough time to culture. And so and that's not successful, that's not sustainable, right? So I think for hiring, so Insider, for example, we have again, I can say probably today I have the most wonderful team that I've ever worked with. It has cost a lot of time and also a lot of pain, because we have more open vacancies than we have people. And my feeling is that gap is just growing. And still, for me, it's important that we continue with the like rigid and with the care and dedication for the hiring that we have started. Because the reason why we have the highest growth at Insider in Latin America. We had one of the fastest ramp ups for a new region, even with COVID and everything. Why are we so successful? I mean, it's the same technology, right? I think we have really wonderful people on the team, and this is for me, in order to drive and grow sustainably, it's important that we keep that. And so if you think like let's say we have 30 open vacancies. If you say that like each week we are interviewing 3 people for a vacancy, that's 90 interviews. And then let's say I'm leading 20 of them, that's 18 interviews, that's 18 hours of interviewing per week. That's a lot of time, but it's worth it. And to dedicate that time onto, hiring, culture, I think it's crucial to be successful with a startup corporation and when entering a new market. I really think this is one of the key things. And on the other hand, it's probably the easiest thing to delegate and the easiest thing to say, but we have that important meeting and we have that important project that is going on, and I can't do the interview, just do it for me. Don't do that, because it's so easy, but it's so important at the same time. So I think that is really a learning and an advice that I have. And then make sure when you enter a new market, just work harder than anyone else. I mean, it sounds easy, sounds stupid, but you will have competitors that are longer in the market. They have a stronger brand. They have a legacy. They have connections. You will have competitors that have more money, that are entering the market, and they have more money, and that's so unfair. Just work harder. And if you find the right people that are with you on that journey, and again, that goes back to hiring. If you have the right people that show the right dedication, that go with you, they will make sure that you reach those goals, and they will make sure that you are successful. If you don't have the right people, they probably will not work with you that hard, and they won't. And then they get toxic, because they will start to impact the others and will say, hey, you can't do that and stuff. So again, really important that you create the right culture, and that then, of course, also if it plays out, reward the people, recognize the effort, and make sure that they are working hard, yes, but on the other hand, also they appreciate how the company is appreciating what they do. Yeah, so when looking at things that we could have done better, I think one is really the profile at the beginning, but it was also I've spent a lot of time in edtech, and edtech is, with no offense to anyone, but selling in edtech is very easy, because you have you can run a very low cost test, and you can cancel every month, and it's different from SaaS. So and then you have the Latin America factor. So it's for me, it was also learning over time to really what is the right profile. Then don't try to tackle everything at the same time, because if you're entering a new market, there are so many things that have a clear plan, clear prioritization, and make sure, you know, if something doesn't happen today, then it is what it is, you know. Stick to your plan and don't reprioritize things. And then pay attention to the details that are important for you, like define what are things that you, and always revisit this, because, you know, inside of, for example, we have very strong but many processes. And if you're growing that fast, and you have more vacancies than you have people, everyone has so much to do. And then when you have processes, what you start is you start to drop the annoying things that take time, that are not necessary. You start to drop them, and then if you as a leader, firstly, if you do it as well, that's not good, because you are a bad role model to the others, and they feel empowered to do it as well. And then also, it might happen from time to time, but then revisit it, explain them why those details are necessary and why they are important. Because if not, you start to get rid of your processes, because people, you know, they do it once, they do it twice, and then they just adopt it, and then they are the buddy of a new starter, and then the new starter doesn't even learn it, because the buddy is showing, yeah, you can just drop that, it's annoying and we have so much to do. And if you get into that vicious circle, it's very tough to get out. And probably it's something that, when looking at some processes where we are at the moment, so very important. And from my own pain and suffering and advice, like those processes, revisit them again and again and make sure that you stick to them. All right, guys, 30 minutes are over. So thank you very, very much for your time. Thanks for your attention. I like feel free to contact me whenever you want. As I said, Endeavor is a wonderful organization. I'm very happy and delighted to be here today with you, and it's a big honor. So I want to contribute back. If I can help with anything, just let me know. I'm happy to. And please enjoy the event. Thank you so much for the invitation, Endeavor Chile. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.